Thank you for staying with us, Bisi. It's been a while. And Wale Adeoye.
Yeah, nice to see you again.
Good to see you.
All right. One key takeaway from the protest letter by 14 justices of the Supreme Court panel against the immediate past Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Tanko Muhammad, is the need for sanity in the judiciary. The resignation of Justice Muhammad on health grounds on Monday has not beclouded that call for probe. Following the swearing in of Justice Kayode Ariwoola as the acting CJN by President Muhammadu Buhari, he has been tasked to restore the diminished credibility of the apex court. Many groups want him to start with the probe allegation leveled against the erstwhile CJN. We thought they would just allow the sleeping dog to lie, and this man, he has done something that a lot of Nigerians describe as something that is unusual, as in just resigning and going home instead of him diminishing that seat.
Really? Unusual? Well,
for a Nigerian, a public office holder, don't resign till they take the fall.
Yeah, yeah. Provided there was no scandal before that resignation. Remember that the 14 justices of the Supreme Court, wrote a petition against the ex-CJN alleging certain discrepancies in the way their offices were being run, and they also alleged that issues of welfare was a concern to them. They stated that there was no power to power their generators and all of that. No money, no call. They couldn't go on calls. They were using Tokumbo vehicles and all of that. So with those levels of allegations against the CJN, they somehow took away from what could have been described as a noble decision. Had it been there were no such allegations, we could have commended the CJN, we could have said, oh, this is very great, this is good, because, it's not something we witness most of the time in our own climb here. But now, we don't even know if the CJN was forced to resign, as being speculated in some quarters now. So we can't really say it was a noble decision, but all the same, let's commend him for coming out to say that he had health issues and would not be able to perform his duties. But also that does not take away anything from the cause on that office to be probed based on the allegations that have been leveled against the office of the CJN. I think when we do that, we can actually now, the ex-CJN can come out clean. Because if you probe him, and at the end of the day, there were no cases of corruption or any form of misdemeanor established against him, he can then raise his head up and say that, well, he has served Nigeria well, even though President Muhammadu Buhari has told us that he has done his best and that posterity will judge him well.
He was even given the national honor, and President Buhari commended him. So as far as we know officially, we might not be able to say that it was as a result of that scandal.
Yeah.
He took his exit. It was commended by Mr. President and everything.
Well, Mr. President, based on the information available to him, is permitted to pass judgment on his assessment of the CJN. In the same way, Nigerians are entitled to also pass their own judgment based on their experiences. I think we should not forget that in 2019, we had a similar case against the former CJN. And then this is his immediate predecessor. We are having almost similar situation, if not worse. Allegation of misconduct, of written by his own people. 14 out of the Supreme Court judges.
Yes,
And you see,
they were actually 15.
yes.
So 14 out of, excluding him, you know.
He's the only one
rooted.
excluded.
The normal constitution of the Supreme Court is 21. So they are short of 6 judges.
Majority. So it's more or less like the majority of the judges passing a vote of no confidence on the person that is supposed to be the most important person in that chamber. So I think for me, it's not just about probing him as a person, but the judiciary, that office. And when we are talking about probe, it's not about vendetta. It's about accountability. It's about financial, moral accountability. It's about the judiciary itself, you know, total overhaul. Because for those judges to come up with this kind of report is scandalous. You know, I think we should not just fold our arms, and maybe there are other judges that are also capable, or people that are not judges, that are senators who are also involved. So Nigerians need to know what actually happened. There should be a process of accountability, you know, to the Nigerian people, because the judiciary, the Supreme Court, is the highest organ of jurisprudence. So it will be very bad for Nigerians if we begin to view them from the lens that we view corrupt politicians, the lens we used to view armed robbers on the streets. It will make people to lose confidence in the judiciary. It will empower people to embark on, you know, young justice, because you think that judiciary is no longer, you know, credible. So I think at this point, there should be some level of accountability to Nigerian people. And I think it will also be in the interest of the former CJN, so that maybe at the end of the day, it will come clean. So there should be a level of accountability, you know, that, you know, we need to know what is actually happening. We should not sweep it under the carpet.
Well, what Wale have suggested now, that means there's something fundamentally wrong with that position. If his predecessor, Walter Onogen, was accused of almost the same, and his successor, that means that position, you know, the perception of the public about that seat now is, the new man might be under scrutiny too after some time.
Well, I don't even know if it is going to be after some time. Already is under scrutiny. In that we have heard that he was born in 1958
and he started primary school in 1959 at the age of 1.
At the age of 1. So that is the beginning of the scrutiny. So you can now imagine. We don't know what we will still hear about the new person. But about the position, there is nothing wrong about that position. It is the way the people that occupy the position use the position that we should be talking about. There is nothing wrong in that, in the position. But how do we use the position? Then, if we are talking about something being wrong, does the CJN have absolute power? So if there is a case of absolute power, we can say something is wrong with the position. But I doubt if there is that, because if there was, the other justices couldn't have been able to even call for a meeting or do a petition and all of that, which brought about some of their complaints. So it is the individual that occupies that position that is being scrutinized. And the more we scrutinize them, really, the more the people that occupy that position, we know that they are in public eye, and we tend to be more careful about the way they exercise their duties, because we cannot afford to just leave them alone. Like Wale said, it's an important arm of government. If the judiciary is compromised, then everybody is compromised, because that means that we don't have a rule of law. Even right now, we have problems with the level of the way we even implement the rule of law. We have it, but we are not just doing what is right. So to now have a corrupt judicial system will compound our problems. So that is, I guess, the reason why it appears, people are just talking about this thing, and they are not allowing the former CJN to just go home and rest and take care of his health, as he has explained to us that he's not feeling too good. And
on the other hand, President Buhari actually commended him, talking about his effort to sanitize the judiciary. He spoke specifically about that, the fact that he waded into that situation to stem the tide of this arbitrary court orders that we're getting in concurrent court of coordinate jurisdictions, and that he was able to do something about it. And what will you remember Justice Mahmood for?
Well, I think in 2019, I think one should not forget the role some of them played in terms of trying to ensure some level of justice. When Walter Onage was being probed by the Code of Conduct Bureau, I think a lot of people commended him at that time, the position he took. And that's why a lot of people are saying that, look, it's now your turn. That, but we should also not forget that he has put in a lot of years into the service. He has PhD in law. He graduated, I think, in 1980. So in one way or the other, there are no strengths without weaknesses. So maybe the president was speaking about his strength. So there's no way we can just rubbish him for almost 35 years that he has spent in the judiciary. But maybe it is not strategic for the president to speak about the other side. But of course, that has to be left for Nigerians to look at both sides, during his years of service to the nation. I
have my first caller. Uche is calling us from Nnewi in Anambra State. Thank you for joining us, Uche.
Good evening, Ayo.
Good evening, Uche.
Good evening, madam. And my other brother.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. This is Uche. I'm calling from Nnewi right now.
Okay, go ahead.
Just like you asked, what can you remember the former CJN for the Tanko? I think I will remember him for the controversial judgment.
You wanted to say, I remember him for the controversial judgment of Imo State. A lot of people didn't forget that. But it was a 7-man panel, and they agreed unanimously. It wasn't Justice Mahmood alone that actually gave that verdict. For those of you that you've been peddling that line since yesterday, it wasn't justice. It was an unanimous judgment by the Supreme Court justices. There were 7 of them that sat, and I will check if anybody had a divergent point of view. But it wasn't just about Justice Mahmood. And there's no how he could have rammed his own impression on the other judges. They are independent people. Yeah. That's why you have some of them will give dissenting judgments. Well, Nigerians.
I guess you just want to remember something good about somebody. And I think he has a lot of things also that probably worked for him too, at least. For the first time, we have somebody that's saying, I'm resigning based on health grants. I think that is also a positive.
And if you remember the issue of ex parte orders, it was becoming...
Yes, becoming, and he actually he waded in
the Electoral Act.
Yes, he suspended, some judges were suspended.
Yes, he did that, he did that. So really, he did his own bit. He did his own bit, and he should be commended for the position, for the GCON that was awarded to him. It is customary, yes, for any retired CJN to get that award.
So Nigerians, hear that again.
That is the way it is done.
Because a lot of people, they're arguing that our President President Buhari is compensated.
Rewarded or compensated.
He has served the country for almost 35 years.
Yes. So. For everyone in that position, that is usually the case.
So, as a take home. Okay, let's talk about that bag. It became another issue in the social media.
The bag that is...
The bag. Justice Mahmoud had that bag. Justice Ariwoola had that bag.
Yes, I think he also
it's customary.
Yes, he also brought that bag into our system.
I was told that it's whatever you believe in, the Bible or the Quran is inside the bag.
Yes, that's what you have
inside that bag.
That's what he said.
Because a lot of Nigerians are curious to know why they always carrying this bag.
I also learned that the current CJN is also Tajuddin.
Yes.
And that his Quran was actually inside the bag.
Look at it.
His Quran was in the bag.
Yes.
And that maybe Christians prefer to hold on to their own Bibles. Hence, their reason for not carrying bags. They prefer to just put their hands on the Bible and then swear, take their oath. Whereas for Muslims, they know that putting the Quran in that bag is as good as holding onto it and swearing by the Quran. So that is the essence of that bag, because it has really become an issue.
That's part of our responsibility here, to actually enlighten the public and
they are talking about it and all of that. It's not a strange thing at all. It's just it's just a function of one's belief, what they believe in, and how they hold the Quran.
Okay, and when we look at the new CJN, Justice Muhammad was meant to go December 2023. He had 18 months.
It'll be 70 years then.
I don't know. I'm sure by tomorrow we will resolve this controversy about his age. Because some people are saying that he has 2 more years to go. That if he's 68.
The current.
Yes, if he's 68.
He was born in 1958.
Okay, if he's 68, we have 2 more years to 70. If he's not, that's more years to spend.
Well, I think I think it should be a straightforward thing. I think he started practicing around 1981 in Oyo State. So tracing his record shouldn't be a difficult thing. And I'm sure as at that time, he never knew he would be the CJ of Nigeria. And he's serving in Enugu, Kaduna, and so I think it will be very easy. He attended the University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University.
Great Ife.
Yeah. So knowing his age, I don't think that should be a problem. So if he said he was born in 1958, that means that, he has just about 2-3 years to live. But I think we should hold him by his word until there is something contrary to what he has said.
Right. In terms of reforms, a lot of people will say that, look, that we need kind of reform in the judiciary. That even the structure of the Supreme Court, the way it is, a lot of people feel that they are overworked. 21 judges, that they have several cases to attend to, and they're always very busy. If they downtown, there's going to be a problem in the country.
We also spoke about the need for even transparency in the system, which to a large extent, we also reduce all these complaints about how funds are being spent and all of that. As per the number of people, I think it's not a question of reform now, because even the number that are supposed to be there are not even enough. We have 16, 15 instead of 21. So even if we have provision for 21 and we have 15, that means it is 6 short of what should be there now, which is even affecting a lot of cases. We have a lot of backlog of cases here and there. So why is that the situation? Is it a question of promoting people? Are we not promoting, or is it that we don't have competent people that can occupy the positions? You get? Because this is something that is already... Sometimes they promote
people from the Court of Appeal.
So what stops that promotion? Why are we where we are when this is already a provision?
Okay, let's take this call from Warri. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, Abeke, thank you for joining us.
I just want to, this age, date of birth for this new CJN. I don't really know. Is it for real, if I may ask? Somebody born 1958 and started school 1959. I don't know. Is it for real?
I can hardly hear you.
He was talking about the age of the current acting CJN. How could he be born in 1958 and start school in 1959? Is that for real?
I'm sure we are going to get clarification on that. I don't want, Nigerians, we just love making these things. We are yet to hear from Kayode Ariwoola himself. I'm sure somebody will talk on his behalf. They have people that will address that. So the question has been raised, and I'm sure that days ahead we get clarity, because it doesn't make logical sense for somebody to be born in 1958.
It could be typographical error.
Primary school in 1959, a 12-month-old boy.
It could be 1969 that they wanted to put. And it just...
even 69, if you are born in 58 and went to school, the primary school, 10
3
years
years.
after.
3 years after.
10 years
start
after.
school.
That one is another problem. Anyways, his cup of tea, you should be able to sort that out. But maybe probably what we now, the lesson from all of this is that we should just be more careful the way we put our records in public space, because we never can tell when things will happen.
It's also, talking about these reforms, we have some countries practicing federalism that we claim to be practicing now. And each of those states, they have their own Supreme Courts. I remember Justice Kayode Ariwoola saying that at his own screening, that the Supreme Court is overlabored, overburdened, that the first thing, if he's made the Attorney General, they will unbundle the Supreme Court. I know in America that's, we have each state, they have their own.
That is where we should go at the end of the day. And that's when people are talking about instruction. It's not just about the political economy. It's also about the judiciary. We need to, we once had a similar thing when we had 3 regions, Western region, Eastern region. So it's not as if it's strange to our political history. I believe at the end of the day, Nigeria will get there. We need judges. We have had very good judges in the past. People like Justice Elias, Kayode Ariwoola, Namani, Oputa. Philosophers, conscientious people, men of integrity. Those are the kind of people we want at the Supreme Court. And I think that's why we are so worried about what is going on now. Because that should be the highest custodian of our most sacred values and morals. What is going on is not good at all.
All right.